Alright, so I pretty much yoinked this idea from my friend Pokebro. He said that he wanted to do a TTYD chapter ranking, but then instead did a post-game of his Metopia Cleric Mono Job run. So I asked him if he would be down to do another video like our HH ranking, where we both do our rankings together in one video, and he said yes, so yeah, we're here now. Here is every chapter in TTYD ranked. At the bottom spot, I have Chapter 2. Now, this isn't necessarily a bad chapter, it looks amazing, and the premise is quite good, but where the chapter has most of its flaws is with the gameplay. The first half is a lot of walking around Bongley Woods, first the tree, then Flurry, then the Shadow Sisters, then Flurry, then the tree. That's quite a lot, especially when the three are pretty far from each other. The dungeon is probably the longest and most boring in the game. The Pikmin concept is cool, but my god, it drags on. This whole dungeon takes about 3 hours front to back, and not much happens in it to justify that runtime. It's just overall the most boring chapter in all of TTYD. It's also not helped by Flurry, who is the worst partner in the game, and the boss fight being of one of the few repeat bosses, being the first Magnus. It has some cool stuff like the fight with the Shadow Sisters and the bomb segments, but yeah, that's about it. On to Pokebro's bottom pick.
Coming in at last on my list is a real shocker. Chapter 2. How shocking. There really isn't anything good about this chapter besides its beautiful looks, I'm sorry. While the 3 shadow fights is cool, the Magnus Crump fight at the end was very underwhelming to me. Flurry's the worst partner in the game, if we exclude Miss Mouse. I just don't like her personality, and she's just pretty garbage in battle. She's only used for her overworld ability before being swapped out for Koops or Goombella. The Great Tree Dungeon is also easily the worst in the entire game. It's so long and nothing, and I just wasn't a fan of the Pikmin gimmick. I would not want to sit through that again. Overall, Chapter 2 is just a huge nothing burger with some good looks so you don't go insane. Actually, never mind, it's white, so it's basically an insane asylum. Anyways, on to number 7, which will be just as earth-shattering, I promise.
Chapter 1 is a bit too simple to make it farther, at least for me. The first half is a lot of walking around back and forward to Petalburg, then the fortress, then back to the beginning to Hooktail's castle. At least it does take less time. Koops is a fantastic partner and he holds a lot of the chapter together. The dungeon is one of the hardest in TTYD somehow. Why the first dungeon is harder than stuff like Exxon Fortress is beyond me, and this does hurt the chapter since a lot of new players have a hard time here. At least Hooktail's an awesome boss. Overall, this chapter has some great plot points, but could have definitely been better gameplay-wise. Now on to Pokebro.
Oh wow, I agree with this kid yet again. Get used to this, you'll have a break in the middle, but towards the end you will yet again be saying the same shit. Anyways, Chapter 1 was a good introduction, I just found it incredibly boring. Besides my favorite partner Koops being there and his whole arc, this chapter is just there to get new players into the game. Hooktail's castle was just yet again another miserable experience in a dungeon for me. Even worse than the Great Tree, because at least the tree wasn't hard for absolutely no reason at all. I just struggled so hard. For the first dungeon in the entire game, I just didn't get it. Hooktail, while odd, is also a good first end of chapter boss. I just think the first chapter in the game was just kinda boring. On to number 6, where I think we don't agree for once.
I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but Chapter 5 is at number 6 for me. Now, the beginning of this chapter is amazing. Everything from talking to Flavio for the first time all the way to when you get Bobry as a partner is top tier stuff. From there, it's not quite as good until the end. Pirate Grotto is a very long dungeon and kinda hurts the pacing since you spent a lot of time there. On a lighter note, Bobry is one of the best partners in the series, and Cortez is also a really good boss. The ending fight with Crump is also cool, just man, the middle chunk of this chapter is slow. It doesn't hold it back from being a great chapter, but within the context of purely TTYD, it has to go here. Sorry.
On number 6, for me, funnily enough, is Chapter 6. Don't get me wrong, the whole vibe of the train is incredibly cool and was pretty fun to sit through. Unfortunately, the station dungeon isn't all that fun, and the chapter lacks replayability. I don't think I would want to walk around the train and just sit through all the dialogue, skipping it over because I already read the shit. The station actually kinda saves the chapter a bit, because at least there's something to do besides the boss, who I actually found incredibly boring. I think it's because I bothered to get the up arrow and had Bomb-on Bats to beat the fight, but it was just so lackluster to me. Overall, despite the good story, Chapter 6 lacks replayability, which brings it down on my list. On to number 5.
Once again, I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but Chapter 8 doesn't really stack up to the 4 I have above it. 90% of it is spent in the final dungeon of the game, and nothing really happens here until we get to Gloomtail, and that takes a while. Until there's just platforming and battling, which is fine, but I just prefer the story of everything else. The 5 bosses here are amazing. Gloomtail is a cool nod to Chapter 1, the Shadow Sisters and the Dupless fight is great. That Bowser and Kamek fight is great, the Grotus fight is pretty good, and the final boss is also great, just all bangers. Also, some of the rooms near the end are also super cool. I just think because of the lack of story I have it here, but it really is good. It's like I said at the end of the Kill Hall Key bit. In the context of purely TTYD, it's in the lower half.
At 5th, I have Chapter 4. It's incredibly close between this and what I have above it, but Chapter 4 really does get saved by Dupless and Vivian. Creepy Steeple is annoying, even if it's short, and the walk to there is just so terrible. Dupless is a cool boss. I like how he yoinks your identity and acts like such a dick. His end of chapter fight might be one of my favorites from the entire game as a whole. I like Viv's moment, and the fighting your partners in Dupless at the same time was a very unique experience. I also like the detail of them being suspicious of fake Mario before the fight. If you talk to them into the mayor's house, you'll see that. Vivian is also a great partner. She's good in battle and is the partner with the most story involvement, and is a part of my GOAT tier for partners. I do dig the theming of the chapter though. I think it looks great and the battle theme slaps. Overall, Chapter 4 has some pretty annoying gameplay, but at least the story and identity fraud section balance it out. On to number 4.
Alright, now Chapter 6 is by far the most story-centered part of the game. There aren't that many battles here, and I don't mind that actually. I really dig the Mystery on the Orient Express thing they were going for. The story is enjoyable and fun, the train station you stop at acts as if it's like the dungeon, and it's a good break from the story. The boss is quite good. I don't really have much else to say except that I really dig this chapter, and that it's, well, really good. Now let's see Pokebear's number 4.
At 4th here, I have Chapter 8, which is just the ending of the game. You fight Gloomtail, the 3 shadows, and traverse the Palace of Shadow, which is very long. It takes a hot minute. Compared to the other 2 final dungeons in the series which I've played, which are 64 and Origami King, this is like a whole mountain climb. I really like this Palace of Shadow despite its length. It serves as a great final challenge and I really dig it. The 2 back-to-back fights with Grotus and Bowser are also great, and I like the surprise of Bowser just popping up out of complete nowhere. While the final boss is unnecessarily hard, I still think it was a cool fight. Chapter 8 is an awesome ending to an already great game, so I think it deserves its 4th spot here. On to number 3.
I shouldn't have Chapter 4 this high, but god damn it if it isn't fantastic. The beginning is whatever, the real stuff starts right after beating the first Dupless. This placement might also be aided a lot by the fact that Vivian is my favorite partner in any Paper Mario. All the plot points with her are fucking amazing. That cutscene that she joins you at the end of is so good. Finding Dupless again feels so good. Vivian living you mid-battle only to return for good is so good. Everything about this section is just so fucking good. Gameplay-wise, it isn't the strongest this game offers, not by a while. The walking back and forth from Creepy Steeple can be annoying, especially in the GameCube version, but the pipe in the remake fixes that, so we're good. The Creepy Steeple itself isn't that good of a dungeon either, but this chapter is still a gem regardless. On to Pokebro.
I think I like this one a bit too much, but whatever. Chapter 5 is a great chapter. Not only does it contain my second favorite partner of all time, I really dig the pirate theme in. Fabio is just goofy and I love him despite him being a greedy little bitch. Besides the tedious trudge through the jungle, the rest of the chapter is great. Pirate Gardo is a fun dungeon and it is a good length despite what Daniel said. I did not think it took that long. And of course, Cortez is just the GOAT, having a fun fight and just being a really fun character. Even though I wasn't a huge fan of the Crump fight yet again, I still thought that the whole ship fight at the end of the chapter was sick as hell. Overall, Chapter 5 bangs and has the only downside of the annoying-ass jungle with the stupid fucking piranha plants. On to the top 2.
I don't know what it is with penultimate chapters in Paper Mario's and being really good, but Chapter 7's fucking awesome. Everything except General White is top tier stuff, that search is a bit tedious, that said everything else is near perfect. 4 Outpost is a cool location, get it. Exnod Fortress is a great dungeon, the second Magnus is a fine boss. Tech's supposed sacrifice is so good, just like everything really. Even then there's one chapter that it still beats, but first, Pokeballs number 2.
Well, back to the good old greenie again, whatever. Chapter 7 could have been close to number 1 if the goddamn General White quest didn't exist. Imagine doing that in the GameCube version without the fast travel pipes, by the way. Oh my god. But besides that, the chapter bangs. Far Outpost is a fun location, and I like the whole vibe of it. But then you go to the moon, which is yet another sick location, and then Exnod Fortress is just an awesome dungeon. Combined with the absolute banger music as well, it's just so awesome. While Magnus 2 was quite lame, the rest of the chapter is still fun and amazing. I love the fact that the enemies give you so much XP too. You can farm up levels fast if you feel like it's necessary, which is quite nice for the penultimate chapter. Overall, Chapter 7 is amazing, but it's held back by General White and its lackluster boss. On to the number 1 spot.
Chapter 3 is just perfect. I already discussed it at length in my full video on TTYD, so I'm not going to repeat myself. Just know that it's one of the few chapters that melds the gameplay and story perfectly. The pacing is perfect, the fights are good, the ending top tier, everything. Once again, if you want my full thoughts, watch my full video, it'll be in the outro. Now, Pokeballs number 1.
Chapter motherfucking 3, dude. Holy shit! This chapter is actually just peak story. If Dan isn't gonna say shit, I will. If you don't talk to Bandy Andy at the start of the chapter, let's just say you missed out. Because it adds so much. You slowly uncover the dark secrets that he described behind the glitz plate, and you keep getting taunted by Rock, and there's also the poison cake and the Yoshi partner. There's so much shit in this chapter for me to unpack. I'm not gonna mention everything, just because I'm going to forget shit. And also, the Yoshi partner has absolutely no filter for his name at all. Isn't that so brilliant? I really like the Yoshi, even if I didn't use him in battle that much. I just like the nod that he always calls you Gonzalez. While the fights get repetitive due to the immense power of the Quake Hammer and Power Shell Wombo combo, I still found the gameplay of the chapter fun as hell. I also loved how cryptic the true villain was. You could suspect Jolene, which was me, due to the bathroom breaks, which Grubba talks to her about at the end of the chapter, or even Rock due to his actions, and don't forget about X, whom I thought was the X-Nauts for some reason. But turns out it was Grubba all along, and while I thought this fight was pretty okay, he was still a great boss. The ending of the chapter is just awesome too. Jolene revealing that she was X and the sister of former missing champion Push Mush was something I was not expecting at all. There is so much I can talk about in this chapter, and I probably forgot too many things, but overall, Chapter 3 is the greatest Paper Mario chapter of all time, and even if I haven't played Super, Color Splash, or Sticker Star, let's be honest, the latter two are competing, and Super, who knows, I'm just not buying a fucking Wii to play that shit. Cue the outro.
And that is it. I hope you enjoyed hearing us talk about TTYD once more. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.